going into our fourth game of the day. Astralis Talent obviously coming up against MNM. MNM is still searching for their first win, and I think that was actually something very poignant, and I like your opinion on this, because Astralis Talent have looked very good and have been able to control the games that they played effectively, but in their first game of the season, it was super slow, it was super controlled, and they didn't really do all that much except contain the Ricky for 20 minutes. Do you expect them to do the same here potentially against M&M Gaming, or do you think that they need to go for that aggression, as the desk said?
It's not the slowest level 1 here, though. Might be looking for something here. Gonna go pretty deep here with the sweeping lens onto Taxer, but yeah, I think it's a good point that you make. This game, it's mostly gonna be down to Wendell, I think. Looking at these bottom lanes, this is a Ziggs and a Jinx that's gonna be perfectly fine just sitting there in a 1 versus 1, pushing and controlling the lanes by themselves, soaking up all of that solo XP and gold, while the supports really like to roam. Both the Galio and the Rakan can make things happen on the roam, so if Astralis is to play more aggressively, I think it's gonna be down to Wendell to make things happen here. On the other hand, Wendell is not the strongest player in Astralis, in my opinion, so I'm not sure if he's the man to put all the eggs in the Wendell basket, so to say. But it's going to be up to him to make things happen.
Which will be interesting to see if he can do so better than Duel did in game number 1, because I wasn't super impressed with the Rakan performance we saw from the Bifrost support in the first game of the day. Of course, they ended up losing out on that one. Whether we'll see more success from Astralis Talent from the Ricard, or if we'll see more success from the Astralis Talent roster than we saw from the Bifrost one earlier in the day. Of course, as you mentioned, Astralis Talent definitely the favoured side in this matchup. M&M Gaming will need to be on form. They have tools in order to do so. Whether they'll be able to take the win or grab something early is another matter. But we're going to see a little bit of early aggression coming in onto Mishingu, which is something that you maybe expect, but Wendell needs to be a little bit careful.
Yeah, it gets chunked out there. Procs the Guardian, though, so can survive for a bit with that rune, but should have the pressure here in the lane with the Jinx. When the Caitlyn is banned away, which it was this time around, having the Jinx pretty much means that you will have pressure in the bottom lane and the push. So Astralis will be able to create that pressure with Chrisberg and Wendell. Looking at the rest of the map, though, the analyst desk mentioned that Taxer has good gank setup pretty much across the board, so I'm looking forward to him as well making something happen on this Sin Sao, because he can go to pretty much any lane, and I think that's an important point to make.
And Taxer had a nice week 1, so whether he'll be able to continue that one with all this setup remains to be seen, but in the meantime, we'll also have to keep an eye on Canna, who, as a performer, didn't necessarily have the same kind of level of impact in week 1. Struggled a little bit to get things going, but now is on the comfortable Hecarim, a champion that is quite popular, nice into stuff like the Jinx, because you can get that full dive going. So junglers could be vital, and if Tax is going to be involved in a lot of plays, surely you want Canna there in support to make things a little bit more interesting. Finds out, actually, 2 junglers going to be going up against each other on that crowd, but it will be M&M who come away the victors.
This is a really good feeling for Canna, because he was able to, as the observers pointed out, take the blue buff and the grump at the same time, meaning that he was 1 camp ahead of Taxer, so he was level 4 to level 3 in that play, and then his laners also helped him with the crab, so he's 2 camps ahead, able to go for the recall here. Perhaps going to go for, yeah, that's going to be the early Sheen, so that is a lot of early game damage for the Hecarim, and might be able to even secure the bottom lane crab as well, so small lead for him here.
Small lead so far, but it's early days, so small leads can spiral. But in the bot side, we're seeing Chrisberg having a decent time in the early stages, Wendell keeping the pressure up, and no zap going to land from Chrisberg to make the fight more likely. Canna in the side as well would have made it pretty deadly if Astralis had gone too aggressively, but it's been a slower start to the game than I was necessarily expecting. It does make some sense when you look at some of the champions, and the junglers now hitting 4 on both sides, you'd hope would allow for a little bit more aggression, a little bit more interaction with lanes, but for now Tax has been very comfortable just farming up, as has Canna, still about a farm ahead, or a camp ahead I should say. But yeah, things, we're getting a little bit of respite, a little bit of a slow one, while these 2 teams just get themselves into a position they want to be in.
And I think with such a calm early game, seeing a 600 gold lead for Astralis when nothing's really happened speaks a lot to how strong laners they are. There's no huge leads in any lane, but there are small leads in every lane. And that translates into a bit of a... No, the gold lead is actually quite small, but it was 600 gold just a few seconds ago. So Astralis just slightly ahead in pretty much all of these lanes. And that's going to be important because we do have once more team comps that wants to go for the split pushing. Camille and Akshan, both strong split pushers on towards the side lanes. Fiora, of course, maybe like the biggest split pushing champion in the league. So could be seeing that going towards the later stages. And in that scenario, something that could prove very important, looking forward to that, is the summoner spells. Ignite for Bobista and Royal Cannon. So no flash on Bobista here on this Camille. Versus the TPs on Astralis. And those ignites could actually be what gives them the edge in those 1 versus 1s, if that's what we will be seeing in sort of the mid-game.
Champions are starting to come online with level 6s though. You can see it on both the mid laners. Jungler's level 5, and you can see Babista and Carlson are both grabbing their ultimates as well. Chrisberg might be overextended though, and with Dr. Chaos there, he's just thinking about trying to get that CC down. Nice talk coming up through. Flash is available for Chrisberg. When will he use it? He will use it now, which will help him get out of dodge. He's going to be able to hold on to that heal as well. So a bit of action in the bot side, but not going to be leading to any kind of kills.
Yeah, and we can see Wendell had gone for the recall, so maybe not syncing up too well with Chrisberg, or Chrisberg being a bit too confident. He's, of course, a very experienced player in the Nordic scene. I've remembered casting him in games several years ago, so he is definitely a strong and experienced player, together with Wendell, who's also a veteran in the Scandinavian League of Legends scene. So a lot of years of competitive experience on this bottom lane could prove to be useful here, as they have about a 15 CS lead.
Which is always nice to get on the Jinx, because you've got this hyper carry who will do so much work, and there's a reason why Jinx has been one of these pick ban champions for a long, long time. Maybe not so much today, but certainly in week 1 we were seeing a lot of priority on this pickup, and Chrisberg still clearly respecting it enough to give it a run out against MNM Gaming. And up against the Ziggs, you're up against a lot of wave clear, but you're the one that's got the traditional hyper carry. You're the one who's going to be able to do so much work in the later stages. But now the engage is coming on through. Remember, Chrisberg does not have flash, going to be caught up by the Galio. Wendell trying to keep Cannon off for as long as possible. He's going to dive on through. The pony is here, and it's first blood going over to the Hecarim. Wendell going to be chased low. Can I get the kill? Yes, he can. Cuts down for the double. And in the slower start to the game, 8 minutes in, and it's MNM Gaming who take it first.
Wow, really going hard in that bottom lane dive, and you can see Chrisberg without the flash from beforehand. And look at this Hecarim play, it's so nice. Kinda uses the E onto Wendell just to get forward. So like he taxis onto the Rakan just to get in the ult range, and then can use that onslaught of shadows to pick up the kill on towards Chrisberg, and then turn to get the second onto Wendell. So really nice set of plays there for MNM. Kana doing it well on the Hecarim, and now 2-0 on this jungler. Can they contest this Herald?
They can try, but they're not going to be able to grab it. Taxa picks up the eye, but it's a 3v3. Will this fight go their way? Astralis actually in a bit of trouble here. Trying to take this fight, but Taxa goes low, will be removed. But Vex dives in to even the playing field. Royal Cannon now trying to put the damage down onto Crest, but he's able to dive away. MNM go low, but they're still looking to chase on Carlson. Moving forward, but he will burn, he will bleed. And now MNM Gaming are in full chase. Royal Cannon takes Crest out of the action, and he's going to be caught up in the middle of MNM. Can actually chase him on, but there's the ultimate from Royal Cannon to make sure that they get the kill. Another triple going through to MNM Gaming, and it involves Carlson, the only other immortal player. Not so immortal anymore, but MNM, they're taking the early game here.
Yeah, Galio being so tanky here, and we're going to be seeing in a few seconds that this was a 5v4. Jinx was down in the bottom lane, not being able to contribute anything, while MNM are here with 5 members. Sure, the Super Mega Death Rocket did something, but not enough at all, and MNM able to finish this up with Royal Cannon here on the action, cashing in, and I believe that actually resurrected. I'm not entirely sure on that, but I think that was the resurrect coming in from Akshan right there. So Camille was able to TP to the bottom lane and stop the push from Chrisberg. Speaking of him pushing bottom lane though, there is then putting down the Herald, so still good chunk of gold going onto the Jinx.
But MNM Gaming definitely have the gold lead here, and while Jinx is getting a little bit funneled onto her, it's going to be difficult now without that Rift Herald to try and take down that last plate, because you've got the Ziggs and you've got the Galio. If they're not in town, then yeah, it melts through, but Ziggs is going to be able to so easily just clear out the way safely from the tower, and the dive possibility is there, but Astralis would need to put some resources into that play. It's been a different start. We worried that Astralis talent might be a little bit slow on the going, and it's definitely MNM Gaming who got there first when it came to being proactive. But it wasn't even like MNM were particularly fast on it. They were taking a while before the first successful ganks coming through, before the first big plays were coming in. But I mean, you look at this, Dragon hasn't even been taken yet.
Yeah, I think that's going to be the next objective here. They do have a decent lead, about 1,000 gold, which is definitely less than you'd expect when you're 5 versus 1 in the kill department, but they are behind in a lot of farms. So I think they'll be looking for the Dragon here with Royal Cannon, pushing in the mid lane and then trying to secure that. Early Cloud not going to be doing too much though, but it's something. And you start also setting up for the scaling with the Dragons.
Being able to pick up this first Dragon does unlock the second one, of course, and you'd rather take it than not. MNM are going to be the ones who have moved in, as you said, with that priority in the mid lane. Bot lane is pretty even right now, but Ziggs is going to be able to clear out that wave when called upon, and it will be the Cloud going over to MNM. They've got the Infernal coming up in 5 minutes' time as well. That'll be long after plates have fallen off, so a much slower paced game we've got here, even though the scoreline's 5-1. But it has all been about MNM Gaming, which is definitely not what the script had on offer when we were going into this one.
No, for sure. The bottom lane has been one of the keys here. Mishigu have been able to just sit alone here and do the farming, while Dr. K has been able to roam and put down a lot of pressure on the map. Well, Cannon now stealthed up here. Does he want to go for the 1v1 with Cress? After Cress uses all of his abilities, he goes in.
And he's going to have to dive out again because Taxa is there. The ultimate has been burned. Actually, they want to try and get onto Akshan and get as much damage done as they possibly can. Vex is burning, but should survive as Taxa secures the kill on the mid lane. Nice play from Astralis to grab themselves something as Canna has to come in to clear down the mid lane.
That's one of those plays that we're not quite sure if it's luck or skill from Taxer to just be in that right position, sort of sensing that Royal Cannon would go for that big outplay and then coming in at just the right time to be able to pick up the kill. I'm not sure, what do you think? Luck or skill?
I always say skill. It's all about skill in this League of Legends game, so we'll go with that one.
Sure, let's go for it.
It's always skill in this here NLC, but in the top side, not too much action to talk about. Fiora versus Camille. In the side lanes later on, this is going to be explosive, but right now, it looks like Vista's pretty happy just to try to stay on parity as much as possible, and by and large has been able to do so.
Yeah, it's a really interesting matchup with how the Camille hookshot wall dive works versus the Fiora riposte. Because as the Camille, you actually don't want to hit your E onto Fiora because then she can riposte, or you want to use it after she riposts. So you can use the first part of your E, and then if Fiora uses the riposte, then you can use it to go in a different direction so you don't hit her. It's hard to explain, but it's a really interesting thing when you're playing this matchup. I wouldn't really say that it's super hardly favored for one side. I think Fiora has a slight advantage, but it's definitely a matchup where either one can win.
Vista is going to have a hard time winning against the entire Astralis talent lineup that's moving up towards this lane, minus Chrisberg, who's running down mid, but has just given the respect required, and letting Wendell take out his ward. Might throw another one in there immediately afterwards to give himself an additional layer of safety, but it did allow Carlson to grab a little bit more gold before plates fell off. 14 minutes, let's take stock. Gold dead even. Kills in MNM's pocket though, as well as that first dragon. If you were on the Rift right now, which team would you be more happy to be?
It depends on if we're just talking about the champions or if we're actually talking about the players, because as we said in the analyst desk and earlier on, Astralis are the sort of heavy favorites. But if we disregard that, just look at the champions, it's a difficult call. I think MNM do have the stronger comp both for team fighting and split pushing, honestly. I think Action Camille on the side lanes are really strong, and then you have two semi-global ultimates in the Galio and the Sigs that can both affect the side lanes when you have those fights, and you also have a very strong team fight with Camille Hecarim diving in and then Galio old 6 ulti on top of that. I like this setup that MNM have both for team fights and for the side lanes.
Whether they can make that work, or whether Astralis are going to be able to get enough of a lead to prevent any kind of proactivity from Astralis, allowing them to call the shots and decide what the macro gameplay is going to look like. These are the questions that we're going to discover the answers to throughout the rest of this game. But Gold remains dead even, but Beaster on the top side is going to try and cut down this tower, and Carlson's giving him a lot of space to do so. They managed to get the tower bot in return. Astralis, with Chris Berg able to mow that one down. So now that the side lanes are being opened up a little bit more pressure will start to be placed on this mid lane, opening up the map and allowing for objectives like Baron, like Dragon to be contested a little bit more freely is super important for both of these teams. With the second Dragon on our map in 30 seconds, and now it's time to start thinking about it.
Yeah, that's going to be the important objective, and that is why Mishigu just used TP back to the mid lane to be able to set up for that. We do have everyone, all 10 players, going to be making their way over towards that objective, and I think we're going to be seeing a big 5v5 fight here. I do like the comp from MNM if they can find the engage, but if Astralis can find the engage first, perhaps with Wendelbow and Taxer, I think they have the advantage. So look for, I mean, the team that finds the initiate first is going to have the advantage here, in my opinion.
Well, Fiora has to turn up first. Astralis will be at full force when she does. And now MNM Gaming, they're looking for it. You can see Babista going in, but it's actually Taxa who gets the engage. Crest on the side, they're looking for an opportunity, will dive forward. But there's the heroic entrance breaking up the fight. Astralis need to be careful. Nice double knock up by Carlson with the re-engage. Dr. Chaos has to stride back. MNM, they're low, but they've got all 5 members. 2 have been taken from Astralis talent already. And as you said, first one to pull the trigger, first one to win the fight, and MNM, while they didn't get the perfect engage, were the ones to try and start it up.
Let's see if there's going to be some recalls and teleports coming back. There are TPs on both Crest, Carlson and Babista, but no, they are staying around. Royal Cannon as well, going to go for the ulti just to stop the recall of Crest, because he wants to TP back into this fight. But with Royal Cannon denying that, the Dragon is going to go over to MNM. So 2 Dragons right now with an Ocean Rift as well. Ocean Soul, very important. It's going to be very strong when it comes to the split pushing. Those extended lanes really want that. But here we can see Taxa going for the engage, and as well with Swendelbow. But both Royal Cannon and Mishigu, which are the targets that you want to hit, are able to dodge away from the entire engage combo, so they can just free hit through all this time. Chrisberg and Crest can also free hit for a while, but MNM just surviving the initial engage there with the Sensao Rakan, then you're going to be in a good spot.
But still, the gold looks even. It's 1,000 in the lead for MNM, with Astralis taking that top tower, closing the gap even further. These fights have been fascinating to watch because there's so much going on, but MNM, their team fighting has just been better this game, plain and simple, and you've got players who are doing their jobs. Everyone on Astralis talent is doing their jobs reasonably well, but the combination of what MNM are doing and how they're communicating and moving seemingly has just been the difference maker so far. Whether they can keep that up or whether they're going to fall behind to Astralis, who, again, it's a similar-ish story to what we saw in the Nariki X7 game, where Nariki just looks to be more on the same page in the middle stages of the game, which is where X7 struggled. But MNM seemed to be a little bit further ahead than Nariki were, and I don't know whether Astralis talent have the same level of individual excellence that X7 have shown so far.
Yeah, and I don't think we've seen so yet from Astralis here. X7 were clearly stronger in a lot of respects, clearly had the stronger draft. I think MNM have the stronger draft. I think Astralis probably are stronger individually, have had some stronger laning phases, but definitely not the big skill gap we saw last game around it. I'm impressed by MNM so far. Talking about this game before it started, both when we discussed it and the analyst desk, we thought that this was clearly a top 4, top 3 team versus maybe a middle of the pack, maybe towards the lower places in the league here. But the MNM are really showing up today.
They've had an excellent start to this game. That being said, they haven't found themselves a huge gold lead or a huge lead in terms of territory. Yes, they've got those couple of dragons, but they're struggling to really pressure their advantage. But now you can start to see this is where the side lanes are being played. Camille versus Fiora. This is where we think the game might start opening up, and this is where the difference will be made. Hannah maybe looking for an engage here on the Hecarim. Isn't able to find anything.
Yeah, I think Wendell and Tax are looking for it as well, but versus the very tanky members of Kana and Dr. Chaos, that's going to be difficult. In the side lane here, we do have the heal reduction getting finished here for Carlson with Executioner's Calling, and that's going to be very important as we have Grasp and Conqueror and as well as the Gore Drinker and the Divine Sunderer, all healing runes and healing items, so being able to reduce that healing is going to be pretty big. And speaking of healing, that's why I'm saying that Ocean Soul is going to be very important in this game. I mean, Ocean Soul is always important because it's a strong soul, but in the side lanes here, in this extended 1v1s like Fiora versus Camille or Akshan versus Vex up in a long side lane, having Ocean Soul is going to be really, really big.
Being able to just put out more poke and survive your opponent's poke if they can't go for the all-in is going to be crucial. So it's interesting that you mentioned that, and we'll have to see which one of these teams can try and force the issue. Of course, MNM Gaming 2 dragons up already, much closer to that soul. But Astralis Talent, if they want to win this game, contesting these next couple of dragons may well prove vital. Baron is also on the menu if both of these teams want to start looking towards it. You've got to imagine with the goal being so even, though, it will be a very, very close fight if either of these teams try to take up any of these big objectives, and it's going to have to be a case of getting a pick or knowing where the enemy team is before you start anything.
Yeah, it's looking pretty calm. Still 45 seconds until the Ocean Dragon, so the teams are just jockeying for position right now, trying to secure the vision and around the Baron pit, the Dragon pit. Babistas right now in the top lane with the TP, while Carlson is actually going towards the bottom lane to catch that wave, so Babista could perhaps keep going top and then have the TP to come in for the dragon fight, but instead chooses to walk towards the dragon, not going to be wasting or at least utilizing that TP, instead going to be looking for the dragon. But at the same time, Astralis are setting up towards the top side. Might they want to threaten the Baron if MNM chooses to go for the dragon? I don't... Like, it sounds like a stupid move in my head, but if Astralis go for it, we'll see if it's stupid in practice as well.
Well, Canada's moving down towards this dragon. Remember, it's not a big objective that's going to be hard to take down. It's just the situation that is created. And with Astralis posturing topside and being matched by MNM, they're able to move down and quickly take down this dragon. The Baron hasn't been started, so it seems that they agreed that it's not necessarily the correct call. But this does set us up for Soul Point. MNM Gaming. Keep your eyes 5 minutes time. The ultimate from Jinx does not land.
Does not land, and I'm a bit surprised that Astralis didn't really choose to either contest it or to go for some other play on the other side of the map. They just really didn't do anything. I mean, there wasn't really a ton of things for them to do, so good free objective going over to MNM right there. And with the game sort of calming down a bit, or perhaps it's not calming down, might have an engage here. Wendell is looking for it.
Oh, he's going to be able to find Michigo on the side, and so many ultimates being blown onto him. The heroic entrance will not save him this time around as the fight kicks off. You can see Babista in the bot lane, not even interested in getting involved just yet. No teleport being used, and all 5 members of Astralis Talent are here. The tower will be the focus, and it should be melted through. It will crumble as the fight re-engages. They manage to catch onto someone, and Canna isn't going to be able to ride out this one as Chrisberg gets excited. They take down multiple members of MNM Gaming and can now move towards the Baron.
That is pretty huge for Astralis. There's no TP on the Sigs once he respawns, so this could be a 5 versus 3 fight on this Baron. Teleport coming in from Babista. MNM are gonna go for the contest here, but it's gonna be difficult in a 3v5.
3v5, no jungler. This is going to be exceptionally challenging if Astralis Talent play this one correctly. They've got health bars to play with to tank out the Baron, so that one's not going to be a big threat. Diving on through, Mr. Dr. Chaos wants to start the fight off and gets a decent amount of damage through. People are actually going low. Baron's still standing at 2.5k. That's a nice ultimate from Ziggs, but it will be Astralis Talent who secure themselves the objective. It's on 3 members as it stands, but Royal Cannon and Michigu might look to take down a couple of the squishier members. They will be able to grab one as Carlson goes down. Cannon Talon will chase on towards Cress, mid versus mid in the top lane, trying to throw down some damage, but Vex has a decent amount of burst. Will be able to get the fear, and the damage is nasty. Cannon needs to be a little bit careful, taking the ultimate to the face. The satchel does not save him, as the Ziggs now is going up against his Yoral comrade. The damage is big. Crest grabs a double. Can he get a triple against Canna? I'm not sure that he can, but he's wasting as much time as possible. After all that, it's a melee minion who finally takes down Astralis' mid laner.
A lot of things just went down there, Viper Rune, but here we have the 3v5 contest for MNM. Bobista is really strong at the moment, but they're not really able to go in at the same time. Well played from Wendelbo, first keeping Bobista away with the CC and then blocking the E, just standing in the way for the Camille, so he can't jump in at the same time as the Galio, because if he would have done that with the Ziggs ulti coming in on top as well, could have been really good for them. And then, well, Cannon just uses Flash smartly, is able to get away. And if you're just able to clean this up, this is still pretty good for MNM because there's only one Baron alive. But I think this is just a miscommunication here because Mishigu is on the minion wave next to him. So if he just goes in together with Royal Cannon, I think they just get an easy kill onto Crest, but instead they go in one by one. Crest gets the reset on his ulti and then gets a really nice double kill. So well played by him for sure.
Absolutely. The question mark pings from an Akshan walking into melee range of a Vex in a bush. There's some thinking emojis there, but Baron's only on one member of Astralis Talent now. Taxa's the only one who holds that buff, so it's going to have to be a one route siege if they want to be getting that advantage. Canada, though, getting slowed up by the Zap. Wendell will be forced out for a second longer, but he's diving on through, looking for the engage. Vertical will be able to find it onto Dr. Chaos. Build up from Michigan is landing. It doesn't do that much damage, though, and it will be Taxa on the killing spree, taking down the Galio, taking down Dr. Chaos. Astralis Talent make one pay, but can't find anything else.
For a long time in this game, MNM was in the driving seat, but after Astralis was able to find the pick onto Michigu, where Wendell ulted and then flashed and used a W, made a really nice Rakan play, caught him out. Since then, Astralis have been in the driving seat the entire game, and now they are for sure in a good position, able to find these picks. Rakan Zinsao going in, and this point in the game, Dr. Chaos is sort of falling off in his tankiness. It's not that hard to kill anymore. Kana as well with this item build. It is the standard Hecarim build, but he gets sort of tanky, but he can still get taken down pretty quickly. So Astralis at this point can pretty much look to catch anyone out of position and burst them down before their team can save them.
He's dropped to the side, thinking about whether he wants to split push or go for a flank. You can see Carlson is moving in the same direction, actually teleporting directly on top of the Camille. So Babista is going to have to be careful hanging around. Dragon has spawned. This will be sold for MNM if they can grab it. Astralis currently have run over the river. Babista on a ward, so isn't going to be able to get the secret flank going on. Wendell on the other side. Taxa looking potentially for an engage, but is quick to move back again. As Poke
There's
comes
no
on
Hecarim ult. They want a delay for Hecarim ult. It's like 5-10 seconds. It's really big.
They're waiting for Canna to have that ability available, but the Dragon has been started up. No delay for Astralis Talent, as this one should go down pretty quickly. Who's going to be the one to pull the trigger? You've got to imagine MNM Gaming want to grab this objective if they can. As the poke comes on through. Dragon actually resetting here as Wendell tries to get the engagement. They're actually going to have to disengage. Jumping all in, that's big onto two as Crest comes forward. Here's the damage. The heroic entrance this time around, though. No one goes down just yet as the beasts are in the backline holding people at bay. MNM Gaming, they're low, but they're still fighting. They're still kicking. Crest on the side. Will they be able to get Carlson? Not with the taunt, but with the knockup as Astralis Talent are forced to back away. Crest and Wendell are still there, but they're not interested in contesting. Carlson is deleted. And it will be MNM Gaming grabbing themselves Ocean Dragon Soul. How big is this?
This is pretty big. I mean, we've not been seeing that much split pushing, which I was expecting that these teams would go for with these team comps. But if you do go for the long fights and the long lanes with the split push, it's a really strong Dragon. If you're fighting sort of these big bursty 5v5 team fights where someone gets caught out and then the fight's over in 3 seconds, sort of like what we've been seeing, it's not that important. It's still good to have Soul, of course, but not that important. I think look at Bobista here. He basically keeps 3 members busy all by himself and survives for a really long time here on this Camille. Also lands the E onto Chrisberg when Chrisberg has flash. Sort of can question the Jinx play right there, or it's just Bobista playing really well onto this champion. Because hitting your E's on a Jinx with flash when you don't have flash is not the easiest thing, and made it really easy for them to be able to control that team fight.
Now the question is, how much of a change does this Dragon Soul have? Because Astralis Talent still have a little bit of a gold lead. They're still the team that is in the driving seat, you've got to say, just with where their champions are currently at. But MNM Gaming, they've got themselves this regen. They've got a little bit more sustain in these fights. And when you've got Poke coming on through, Astralis are not going to be able to utilize theirs. And it's going to be even harder to survive through. Bobista might be looking for an engage, finds Carlson on the flank and gets the ultimatum, but really nice parry from Carlson. It's not going to matter as he's still deleted, as it looks like MNM wants to take this fight. Chrisberg has been engaged onto, but dodged away from the ultimate with the flash, they say, from the last team fight. MNM grab one. Are they going to continue the fight, though? Are they looking for who they can find? Wendell in the bush, but Baron's on the map. They could look to start up the objective. It would be risky as Babista's caught behind the pit. The satchel charge will mean that the Rakan's actually the one caught out and is going to go down. A little bit less risky to start up the play now. No top laner and no support coming through from Astralis Talent. MNM do need to be a little bit careful because Cress is still a massive threat. Chrisberg still has ultimate. Taxa still has the smite. And we all know the NLC junglers love stealing Baron. Bobista in the backline dives on through, looking for Chrisberg. Will be able to find him. Heroic entrance keeps Taxa away as Canna gets the kill. Crest is going to be chased down. This time it's 2 members together at last. And it will be the damage coming on through onto the Vex. Taxa just managed to stay alive, but actually so has Crest for the time being. Canna, one more auto should be enough. The Zonya's used to waste some time. And actually Crest, he's waddling away, but he's only got small legs. Big shield though. Crest, can you do this? Can you make... No, I believed. You made me believe for a second, Crest. But in the end of the day, Tax is going to have to steal this Baron buff. But he's got Carlson in support now, so MNM going to have to take down the jungler. Will be able to put members on top of him. Cannon just holding the Baron for a couple of seconds longer, as this fight is actually looking a bit better for Astralis Talent. They're chased away, but they don't lose a member. And now you can see the Baron. It's on 2k health. Astralis still have their jungler. They still have opportunities, but Michigu makes sure that that's not a fact. They're going to get the kill. They're going to get the Baron. And finally, MNM Gaming take the play.
MNM now in the driving seat once more, getting a substantial lead. And with that sort of fight that we just saw, that's when Ocean Dragon really shines. People say Ocean Dragon isn't as strong as the other ones anymore. People sometimes rank it as even the worst dragon. And yes, it's true, if the fights are like 5 seconds, it's like a big burst play and then everything is over, it's not that good. But in that fight, I want to see how much Ocean Soul healed them for, because that was going on for such a long time. I mean, people were pretty much, who got caught out early on, was respawning and then were able to come back into the fight before it was over. It was going on for such a long time, and MNM's health bars were kept really high, partly thanks to the Ocean Soul, and now they have a substantial lead. Can they push it further, though, with the Sigs and be able to siege the enemy base? That's the big question right now.
They want to be grabbing as many objectives as they can, as many turrets and potentially inhibitors as they can, but Bobista has been caught out on the side. It's 1v3, 1v4. Royal Cannon diving on through to try and give a little bit of assistance, and actually Bobista survives for a second longer. One more auto, and there's the ultimate from downtown. Crest takes down the kill. Now Carlson needs to be careful. That's a big ultimate coming in from Michigan. Crest will be sniped out. Chrisberg, the one grabbing the only kill of the fight for Astralis Talent so far. MNM Gaming have picked themselves one up as well. They're going to continue to siege down on this bot side. Don't have a minion wave. But just think if they can stop Astralis from recalling, see if they can grab anything else on a dive potentially. But MNM just look like they're going to poke in and try and siege.
That's still a smart play from Astralis. I mean, they realize that they want to delay this as much as possible, and they're able to do so by trading 1-for-1, killing Bobista, right there, sacrificing Cress for it. Definitely not a bad play. Bobista does have the TP to come back if they want to go for some sort of a big siege here. He is up in 9 seconds. Here we have the fight.
Engage, but he's going to go down. Chrisberg on the side, though. Keep an eye on those rockets coming up through. The Hurricane engines will break things up as Canna in the backline. The tower's doing a little bit of work, but Chrisberg goes low, has to dive away. The ultimate takes down 2 from Michigan, and that might be the play. MNM Gaming, they cut down another. They've still got Baron buff rolling. No minions just yet, but the base could be cracked.
This is going to be the base. Open Crest has to make some sort of a huge play to save this game.
Nice stun, Raw Cannon diving on through. The first Nexus Tower goes down, second Nexus Tower goes down, and I think this might be it. The first huge upset of the NLC season as MNM Gaming dismantle Astralis talent.
Wow, and sweet.